Hey everyone, Green Fury here. Today's video will be a little different. This won't be about another tutorial video, but what I wanted to do is show the respects of the World War I and World War II pilots. This will be a long series of videos about amazing fighter pilots and bomber crews. As years go past, these pilots are giving into Father Time. And I want to keep these pilots' memories alive right now. So, in the future, we will never forget about what these amazing pilots have done for us. And to start off this video series, I'll introduce you guys to Lucy, later known as Old 666.
June 16, 1943, a B-17 Flying Fortress lumbers through the skies above Bougainville in the Solomon Islands. The four-engine Army bomber, known as Old 666, is completely alone, beyond the range of fighter escort. The bomber will soon be forced to dogfight in one of the most harrowing ordeals of the war. Pilot Jay Zemer and his crew are charged with taking detailed photos of Bougainville and nearby Buka Island for Allied invasion maps. The 9-man crew has volunteered for this extraordinarily dangerous mission. The B-17 cruises into enemy airspace over Buka Island. The Japanese rush to scramble 17 fighters to the attack. Pilot Jay Zemer recalls the moment in this rare archival interview.
I should have just broke out and headed for home, and the hell with the mapping. But having been in the infantry and knowing that they're scheduled to go in November 1st on a landing, the importance of doing the mapping hit me.
They knew that those Zeros were going to catch up if they did the whole mission. I'm sure Zemer knew that.
Heroically, Jay Zemer maintains his heading, committed to finishing a mission that now seems suicidal. Tension builds in the cabin as the Zeros close in.
I'd say 30 seconds or 45 seconds before we completed our mission, well, they were up there after us. And it was hell.
The Japanese fighters encircle the American bomber and linger beyond machine gun range, coordinating their strike. The battle to come is a pilot's nightmare, a dogfight in a massive bomber against 17 fighters. The story of Old 666 began 5 months earlier in Port Moresby, New Guinea, the base of operations for the 43rd Bomb Group. A reputation for lack of discipline had put Jay Zemer and his men at the bottom of the waiting list for new B-17s. Zemer is forced to look elsewhere.
The photographer from the 8th Polar Squadron said, "I know where there's an old airplane. Nobody will fly it anymore because every time it goes out, it gets shot to hell."
The wrecked fortress is slated to be scavenged for parts. Zemer's men recover the plane, tail number 666, and tow it back to their squadron to patch holes and restore it to flight readiness. A standard B-17E is a 4-engine aircraft designed to carry up to 8,000 pounds of bombs. 13 machine guns are mounted throughout the aircraft. But Jay Zemer and his crew will need extra firepower. They plan on volunteering for the most dangerous missions, ones no one else will fly. Zemer's men rig the fortress with extra guns. The waist guns are converted to twin 50 cals. An extra 50 cal is fitted in the chin for the bombardier. In the nose, a fixed gun is installed for Jay Zemer to operate. In the end, Old 666 is loaded with 19 machine guns, 6 more than a standard B-17. It's the most heavily armed bomber in the Pacific. Now, facing unimaginable odds against 17 Japanese fighters, Ziemer's men will need the extra guns. 3 Zeros break formation and launch their attack. They take position at 10, 12, and 2 o'clock. They're trying to split the bomber's defensive fire, but old 666 is bristling with extra firepower in front. The Zeros roll over, inverting as they attack so they can quickly peel away. Jay Ziemer fires his nose-mounted gun at the attacker directly in front of him. Rounds slam into the Zero. The fuel tanks ignite and the plane tumbles. Below the pilot's fixed gun, Bombardier Joe Sarnowski tracks another attacker. With a long burst, he sends a second plane spiraling to Earth. They've struck an early blow, but their exhilaration soon turns to horror. Explosive 20mm cannon shells from the third Zero impact the flight deck and fuselage.
They shot out my window, but everything come in on Jay's side, and he caught hell.
In the pilot's seat, shrapnel rips into Ziemer's legs, arms, and wrists. In the nose, shattered plexiglass and metal tear through Joe Sarnowski's abdomen.
After Sarnowski got hit, he was dying. He started to crawl back to the nose. The navigator checked to see him and kind of stop him and say, "Are you okay?" Sarnowski just kept crawling up to his gun. Meanwhile, there were still many other Japanese fighters to deal with, and they set in for the final kill.
Another wave of Japanese fighters swoop in. This time, a twin-engine Japanese Ki-46 Dyna lines up at 12 o'clock to make a head-on pass. It's a lightly armored plane built for reconnaissance missions, not an all-out brawl. Joe Sarnowski, his hands slick with blood, grips the trigger of his machine gun one last time.
Sarnowski saw it, shot it down, and then shortly thereafter collapsed on the gun.
The crew continues battling off the marauding Zeros. In the cockpit, blood spurts from Jay Ziemer's shredded wrists and soaks the controls. He struggles to stay conscious. The B-17's rudder controls are gone. The hydraulics are shot up. The forward-firing machine guns are out of commission. And worst of all, the oxygen system is gone. And at their current altitude of 25,000 feet, the air is too thin to breathe. Ziemer makes a desperate move.
I rolled the airplane over and stuck the nose straight down. Figured, well, we better get the hell out of here.
Old 666 drops 3 miles in 40 seconds. They level off at 8,000 feet. The crew can now breathe without equipment. But the 14 remaining fighters easily keep pace with the wounded bomber, maneuvering in front to renew their head-on attacks. To survive, Ziemer knows he must make himself as small a target as possible while maintaining a heading for home. He executes a defensive tacking maneuver. By winging the bomber sharply to meet each frontal attack, Ziemer gives each Zero pilot only a moment to fire. While most dogfights last only 1 minute, Jay Ziemer and Old 666 endure wave upon wave of Japanese attacks for an excruciating 45 minutes. Ziemer's arms and legs are lacerated, but somehow he summons the strength to grip the controls and maneuver the massive B-17.
he did it, but he did.
After burning up almost all their fuel in the dogfight, the Japanese know they must head home. They peel off, lifting their siege of the flying fortress. Only with his crew finally safe from enemy fire does Ziemer relinquish control of the bomber. Old 666 limps its way to a friendly base at Dobadura on New Guinea. In a B17 bomber, Ziemer and his men have battled 17 enemy fighters and completed their mapping mission.
We hit on the end of the runway, and I've made a lot of landings since then, but I've never made one like that. Just slicked her in.
Medics and ground crew rush to the aircraft. Bombardier Joe Sarnowski is dead. They assume the pilot Jay Ziemer is too.
We told them to get Jay first, and somebody said he's gone.
Well, I was too weak to respond to that. I wanted to lift my head and tell him he's full of.
Amazingly, Ziemer survives. 187 bullets and 5 cannon shells had shredded old 666. 6 of the 9 men in the crew were hit. For his perseverance in the face of overwhelming odds, Ziemer is awarded the Medal of Honor. For returning to his guns while mortally wounded, Joe Sarnowski is also awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously. The 7 other men of the crew receive the Distinguished Service Cross. It's the most highly decorated mission by an American aircrew in World War II.